All right, here we go, guys. We're back with our study guide for Unit 2, and this is going to be Part 4. So this is Part 4. Now, we're still on the concept of RP2, which is unit rate. Okay? Oh, this is horrible. Now, so with RP2 discussing unit rate, we want to talk about this concept or talk about this question in particular because this question was on our last quiz and I know that it caused some trouble for a few of you, so I just want to go back over it one more time because a question like it on the quiz is there's a question like it on the quiz. So this question says an ice machine uses 3 gallons of water every 9 hours. How many gallons of water does it use each hour? And how many hours does it take to use 1 gallon? Now, this question has a lot in it, so we want to make sure we pick this question apart so that we understand what we're looking at. So the first thing I want you to do is look at the question. The first question is how many gallons of water does it use each hour? The second question is how many hours does it take to use 1 gallon? Now these are two completely different questions. Okay, so I want to make sure you understand that these are two completely different questions. Let's talk about the first part. It says how many gallons of water does it use each hour? Now we talked about this keyword here, each. Each is going to signify that we need to focus on unit rate. And remember when we talked about ratios, we talked about order matters. So whatever the order they give it to you in, this is how you need to receive it, or this is how you need to write your ratio. So I'm asking about how many gallons of water does it use each hour. So this ratio needs to be gallons to hours. Let's do this in a different color. Gallons to hours. Now, the question already gives us what we need. It says every 9 hours, the machine uses 3 gallons. Okay, so let's write this ratio exactly how they give it to us. 3 gallons, this is our gallons, so let's put a 3 here. And our hours, 9 hours, so let's put a 9 here. So that means that there are 3 gallons for every 9 hours. But remember, if I'm working with unit rate, the second number has to be a what? Pause the video. Tell me, what does the second number have to be? Now, if you said 1, that's correct. So I have to figure out, well, how do I get from 9 to 1? Just like in the last video for part 3, we use multiplication or division. How do I get from 9 to 1? Well, 9 divided by 9 gives me 1. So whatever I do on the right side, I must also do on the left. 3 divided by 9 gives me what? Take a minute or take a few seconds and pause the video and tell me, what is 3 divided by 9? Now, if you said 3, this unfortunately is incorrect. Now remember we talked about this. I remember you talking about this in 5th grade. We talked about the commutative property. Now 3 divided by 9 does not equal 3 for the simple fact that 3 divided by 9 does not equal 9 divided by 3. When we talk about division problems, remember this is the first unit we discussed. We talked about how important it is to place the numbers in their correct spots. This first division problem is asking me how many times does 9 go into 3. The second division problem is asking me how many times does 3 go into 9. So as you can see, there are two completely different questions. So we are left with 3 divided by 9. The only thing we can do for this is to write it as a fraction. So this is 3 over 9. Now, the next thing we can do with this is to simplify. Remember, we always simplify using our greatest common factor. So 3 divided by 9, written in simplest form, is going to give me 1/3. Okay? Now, this means that for every 1/3 gallons, I have 1 hour. So it answers the question of how many gallons of water does it use each hour? Well, it uses 1/3 of a gallon for every hour. Now, if we wanted to visualize that, let's say that we had, let's make this box here. These are going to describe my hours. Let's split this up into 9 equal pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up. Let me make here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, did this one a little too long, so let's erase this back. Now, it's very important to visualize this as well, because I don't want you to get the assumption that these numbers don't mean anything. So let's make sure we have 9 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means that I use 1/3 of a gallon for every hour. So let's put 1/3 in here. This is going to be my water. 1/3, 1/3. So for every block, each block is 1 hour, and I'm going to put 1/3 of a gallon in each block. Because this is just what we said. We said that there would be 1/3 of a gallon used each hour. So this is the first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour, sixth, seventh, eighth, the ninth hour. So if I said it was 1/3 gallon for every hour, then it has to add up to give me how many gallons? Pause the video. Tell me how many gallons should this total up to? If I add up all these 1/3 pieces, how many gallons should it add up to? Now, if you said 3 gallons, you're absolutely correct. The word problem began with 3 gallons, so I should end with 3 gallons. So 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 gives me 1 gallon. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 gives me 2 gallons. 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 gives me 3 gallons. Good, so I know and I can verify visually that my answer is correct. So the first part of this answer, 1/3 gallons for every hour. So let's take a look at our answer choices. We have 1/9 gallons per hour. Well, that won't work because the first part is already incorrect. It says 1/9 gallons per hour. We already discussed that it was 1/3 gallons per hour. So the second one, this could possibly be correct, so we'll leave that one alone. What about this third one here? It says 3 gallons per hour. We know that that is also incorrect because it starts off with 3 gallons. And this last one is possibly correct because it says 1/3 gallons per hour. Now, let's take a minute to erase this so we can work on our second part. Okay. Now, the second portion is a little bit easier. The second portion says, how many hours does it take to use 1 gallon? So I know that I need to put my ratio from hours, so hours, to gallons. Now, for hours to gallons, it says 9 hours, so I'm going to put 9 here. And I have 3 gallons, so I'm going to place my 3 here. Well, remember for unit rate, I need to get the second number to be 1. So I want to go from 3 to 1. So how do I get from 3 to 1 using multiplication or division? Well, I can divide by 3. And whatever I do on my right side, I need to do the exact same on the left. So divide by 3. And now I'm faced with what is 9 divided by 3? Or in other words, how many times does 3 go into 9? It is 3. So 3 hours for every gallon. So how many hours does it take to to use 1 gallon? Well, it takes 3 hours for 1 gallon. So we just need to find an answer choice that had our first answer of 1/3 to 1 and then 3 to 1. So this first one has 1/3, which is correct. So 1/3 gallons per 1 hour, and this is 3 hours per 1 gallon. So our answer choice is this one. This question is very important. Make sure you are able to do this one. Pause and rewind the video if you need to go back over it. And that does it for part 4.